is going on? People, what is going on? Man, it's been a minute. It has been a minute. Let me get this thing pulled on up. Let's see. I figured I better jump on here and do some catching up with peoples. I know everybody been wondering like where I've been. What's going on, Kelvin? Ramsey? Neil's in here, Big Joe's in here. Ramsey said I almost gave up all hope. You ain't gotta give up all hope, man. I'm still around, still kicking it. What's going on, Neil? I see you, man. No, I'm driving. Please leave up till tomorrow. Okay, Kiana. That's it. Kiana reached out to me. Kiana was one of the few reached out and said, yo, bro, you all right? Okay. All right. I can do that for you, Kiana. Don't worry. Man, it's been a minute, huh? It's been some weeks. What's this been? Like a month? I should go look. It's been a minute. Consumed by the jobs. Man, that was the case for a minute. Yeah, let me shut my door to my office real quick, man. That was the case for a minute. Had you about to tap out. You know what? That's a funny thing, man. The second job did indeed. Are you thinking? Oh, I'm sorry. My CPA was just emailed me. So I need to email him back. He wanted to know if I was taking care of my own stuff this year or not. So I'm gonna let him know, nope. I need you to do some magic for me. So, but I'll take care of that after this. Man, so what's changed? What's changed? There's been some changes in the house, changes in the building. Let's see. Well, the number 2 job did indeed, Ramsey hit on something that was pretty close. I did tap out. I tapped out from job number 2. So I recorded for that. I just need to post it up. There's a pre-recorded video that I needed to just edit right quick. It'll be a quick edit. I just need to take out some blank spaces in it where I pause thinking about stuff. And then I'll put that up for like, I don't know, everybody else to see, I guess. But that's probably been about, I think this is the 3rd week, 3 weeks ago or so, where I tapped out from job number 2. It was just too much. And I learned some great lessons from that experience. It ended up, I counted up the months. That was like 6-7 months that I pulled that off. Yeah, I just had to decompress for a minute, man. Things had gotten, I had gotten so wound up, tight, and stressed, because it was literally 6 months of me sitting in this room, 12, 14-hour days, including coding on the weekends. There were very few days that I can remember in the last 6 months that I did not write code, in some way, shape, or form. But I definitely got, well, all right, let's talk about, this is going to be exactly what's in that video that I will post up, but you guys get an early sneak peek since you're on the live stream. He says, surprised you aren't streaming from Maui. I wish, man. We are not balling like that, not yet. So, some of the things I learned from the second job experience, right? That there are some key things that to take into account if you want to do something like that, right? Some things that I didn't necessarily put a lot of thought to before I just jumped in. Which at the time, I was just looking for the second gig. I wasn't putting a ton of thought to it, but I will next time around, which may or may not be too far off. But I'd say number one, to think about what type of company it is, right? Here's the nuts and bolts of, why I threw in the towel was they were expecting more than I could give. You know what I'm saying? There are reasons behind that. Main reason is that for a small startup company that only has one developer when you join and you make the second, and by the time you leave, there's only four developers. Um, you know, those startups like that, scrappy, they expect long hours. So they expect 12 hours, 10, 12 hours a day. Sometimes 12, 14, 16 hours in a day. If there's some big deadline to go, right? Yeah, they want it. Well, not necessarily wearing a lot of hats, but just writing a lot of code for a lot of hours, um, because you're trying to maximize what you can do with the smallest amount of people because you don't have a ton of money when you're in startup mode, right? Um, so you just work your developers that you have to the bone until you can hopefully get out an MVP that you can show and prove to investors, and then investors will give you more money because they can physically see, what the product is that you're building, and they'll dump more money into the company, which allows the company to hire more developers, which will hopefully take the ease off of some of the existing developers that were there, right? But I joined the company when they were pre-MVP, right? So there was a lot of responsibility, uh, code responsibility, and the dev that was there, the only dev that was there when I got hired, he put in those 12-hour, 14-hour days. He's up writing code at 2 a.m. in the morning, and it's just, I couldn't hang with that, when I got another gig. Now, thankfully, gig number one is like pretty chill, laid back. I love it. They don't expect 12-hour days. You put in your 8 hours and you're done. They don't expect anything on the weekends or anything like that. It's all up to you. There's no expectations there, and they are a larger, contractor, government contracting company. So there's plenty of developers to go around, and plenty of people on the team. So the work is divided in a good way. Um, but if you join one of these small startups, that's what you have to be prepared for, um, and that was the main thing. And so, yeah, that was the main thing. So I basically had hit my point of just burnout, and I literally wrote an email that said, due to extenuating circumstances, my last day working for this company will be today. Please send me an address to mail this machine back to, and I will ship it back to you with tracking. So, that's the way that happens. So I shipped them their machine back on my dime, by the way. Uh, other places I worked remote for. Well, it's a small startup. It wasn't organized or anything like that. So I didn't care that I had to pay to send their machine back to them. But other places will typically send you some type of, they'll either give you an account, like a FedEx account or UPS account to charge it to, or they'll send you a shipping label or something to ship the machine back with. But there was none of that with the startup. So I just shipped the machine back on my own dime. I was so thankful to be done with the whole thing that, I would have gladly paid the little, I think it was like 40 bucks or something I paid because I got some insurance on it too, just in case. But it got delivered back. And man, I tell you what, when you've been working 2 gigs and working, so many hours in a day for half a year, that when you go back to just having 1 gig, man, you want to talk about being thankful and feeling like you got so much time. It's one of those things that comes back to perspective, right? So when you only got one gig and you feel like you're working yourself to death, right? Like, man, this job is working me to death. But then you take on two gigs for a while to where you get adjusted to that and you give up one of those gigs and go back to one. It seemed like you got so much time. I got all the time in the world. I am so much less stressed, you know, on getting work done. It's the first time in a long time I have not felt obligated to write code on the weekends. So I actually been working on personal stuff on the weekends, personal projects, writing code for myself, for my future self and product. And then working on the side hustle too, the Amazon business. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going down lately. I feel like a person again. I used to work 80 hours, 80 plus hours at my last job. That was a trip. Yeah, I know what you mean, Kelvin. I definitely reached burnout there, and but we're good. I mean, we did what a lot of the stuff we set out to do. We did. Paid for the private school, right, for the kids for the year. So that's all taken care of. I got money in the bank that covers throughout the rest of this year, right? And then, we'll have from now until when school starts up again to generate more income, side income to cover tuition for next year for the kids. And I'm hoping that there might start to be some promise from the Amazon business that might come into play. Although I've been on four interviews since I let go of job number 2 in the last 3 weeks. And I could have been on way more, but I haven't been pushing the issue, to be honest. I probably put in, how many somebody's at my door. Let me see, is that UPS or somebody? It's not. Y'all give me just a minute. I'll be back. I don't, I don't know if you heard that. That was the next door neighbor. Next door neighbor, a little boy from next door. He came to ask if my son could play. My son actually got sick today, and his mother had to go pick him up from school early. She picked him up at like noon, and he came home and went upstairs and got in the bed and went to sleep. So I know he really sick. He really sick because that boy don't sit down. So if he's sleeping in the middle of the day, he really don't feel good. So, but anyway, what were we talking about? They came to talk you out of quitting. No, they didn't, man. Nah. Because I talked to one of the guys there at company number 2, and we kind of bumped heads a little bit, a little friction there. So I was like, I'm done. I don't need that stress, It's good. It's good when you don't need the job. Man, I would say that again. It's good when you don't need the job. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very easy to just be like, you know what? You want to talk crazy? You are not gonna get me stressed out over this gig. You know, I'm all for being a team player and we working towards a common goal. But because you stressed, I'm not gonna ratchet up my level of stress to match your level of stress. Or make you feel like I'm as stressed as you are about the whole thing. That's just not me. So it's like, yo, if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for, 14-hour a day stuff, um, and for me to be stressed to the hilt while I'm working, I just don't need that. So I literally threw up the deuces. You know, some long hours, not 1 hour, or not 1 hour learning is better than nothing. Oh, you're talking events. Okay. Disappointed in myself. Stopped learning because I got a job working long hours, not programming related. Hey, I understand that, Vince. I feel that when I was working at the hotel, right? I'm standing at the hotel front desk, being a concierge, waiting for people to walk up that needed help, booking show tickets or tours or dinner reservations or, you know, setting up massages and flowers and balloons for birthdays and stuff, bottles of wine. That was my job for 3 years, and then, uh, um, or for like a year and a half, I did that. And the year and a half, or 2 years before that, I was regular front desk agent. Just checking people in, checking people out. So I was doing that, and working a lot, and it wasn't code related, and I had the family time. When I got off, but I just had to force myself to put in something. Sometimes it was only like 10, 15 minutes in a day where I could like squeeze in one video. And you just do every little bit you can, and everything adds up. Cumulative, I can't say that word. It compounds over time. You know what I'm trying to say. So just keep plugging along, man. Don't give up. I'm too tired to study when I get home. I work long hours. I know what you mean if it's 10 minutes a day or something. You just get one video in, or you write 1 or 2 lines of code in a little project that you're working on. That really it adds up. You know, I feel like this: if you're too tired to learn how to change your life, you must be satisfied. Ramsey laying it down. You must be satisfied where you are. uh, I dig that. That's some that's a splash of truth in the face, huh? I never heard that before. If you're too tired to learn how to change your life, you must be satisfied where you are. Wow, that's a good one. Getting in the industry is hard. Seems like the bar has been raised, especially for front end development. Um, yeah, I would definitely say, you know what though? Because there's still places out there, man, that I run across. Even the places that will take like really fresh um, front end devs, right? So we'll narrow it down to front end web developers. There's still places out there that will take really fresh front end web developers that maybe don't even know one of the major frameworks. You know what I'm saying? They're out there, but they're just few and far between. You know, um, you really got to look and dig and be diligent for these types of gigs that just want you to know some HTML and CSS and some JavaScript. Maybe jQuery. There are those positions out there for front end, um, but they are very few and far between. Uh, the good thing is the devs that know the Reacts and the Angulars and the Vue.js's and the Embers, the framework got devs, right? They probably won't be going after those jobs, right? They aren't going after the job that just wants you to know a little bit of HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript, maybe jQuery. Because those jobs are going to pay less, right, than the framework jobs. This is generalizations, right? So it's not set in stone, but from everything that I've seen, the jobs for the framework things typically pay more than jobs that don't require you to know one of the major frameworks, right? So those framework guys and girls won't be going after those positions. Um, well, not just because of the pay, also number two, because if you pull yourself out of your respective, most people have one strong framework and then they know generalities about the other ones. So if I'm an Angular dev, I really know Angular. I know a little React, enough to get a project started. I know a little Vue, enough to get a project started. Actually, I know very little, if any, Vue.js, because I haven't spent the time to learn it. But just in general, if I pull myself out of a job that uses any framework, right, I am now getting bypassed because, front-end technology, especially JavaScript technologies, move so fast, I would get left behind, right? Say I work this job for a year or two, and then I want to go back and get another Angular job. I would have to play catch up to learn what the new latest and greatest best practices are. Angular's coming out with version 6 here shortly, and RxJS version 6 as well, which totally changes around the way that you import operators and use operators, and it's more functionally focused using pipes or piping things instead of using the operators on an observable, extending the observable object to add, map and filter and all that stuff, properties on the observable object to use. So they're totally shifting the paradigm there. If I was not in that scene, I would not be aware of that and I'd be left behind. So I would hesitate to take a job that had those. So those are pros and cons, Those jobs are few and far between, but you won't have a ton of competition. Really only front-end devs that are fairly new to the game, I would say, will be going after those jobs. So my concern is when I study on weekends, I learn a lot, but during the week I seem to forget everything. Not sure if my work stress is causing this. Is it normal not to retain information like this? Yep, Ramsey answered that for you. If you're having trouble retaining information, I would say you have to mix in writing code with watching videos. So if I just watch videos and don't put it into practice, I forget way more than if I am writing code and learning the things that I need to write that code, because it reinforces that in your brain, because you need to solve a problem. And then once you solve a problem, it's a lot more likely you won't forget that fix, and that's almost what you get paid for, right? A dev, a mid-level dev gets paid than a junior dev because he's made most of the mistakes that the junior dev hasn't made and will have to learn from. So the mid-level dev has made those mistakes, and he's not going to make those everyday mistakes because he's already bumped his head and learned. And he knows how to avoid those, which means he can produce more code than the junior dev who's still going to stumble across those mistakes that he just hasn't had an opportunity to run across, And then so on and so on for a senior level dev. He's seen more things and ran into more obstacles and knows how to get into, not just missing the pitfalls of writing code, but missing the pitfalls of bad project architecture. And so he can architect a whole project. Not only can he write good code, but he knows how to structure that code for it to be scalable and maintainable by a large team of people, not just for him to work on and his it's bigger than the code, right? So then you start getting into senior level and architect level developers, right? So you're really getting paid for making mistakes and learning from those mistakes and not repeating those mistakes is what people pay you more and more money from. But you got to start making the mistakes so you can start learning from them, so you can start, moving up in the ranks. Uh, is that yeah? I really need to do this every day, no matter what. Yep. Write a little bit of code every day, man. Write a little bit of code every day. That is the deal. Um, yeah, so that was the deal there. Job number two's gone. I've been riding just one job for the last 3 weeks and loving it. Um, and what else has changed? Most things that's changed have revolved around that. Um, I haven't. Obviously took a YouTube break, right? I haven't posted any videos up on the other channels, the financial channel or the vehicle channel, car channel. But those are coming soon. Actually, I think I'm planning on. I don't know if this is gonna happen. Getting up early in the morning and going and finding a parking lot and shooting some video for the vehicle channel tomorrow. Kind of the first intro video, because what I found with the car I have, which is a 2011 Mercedes E63 AMG. And if you're a Mercedes person, they like to speak in chassis models. So it is a W212 body style. There's not a ton of people that have that year, make and model car that talk about it. Actually, I haven't been able to find anybody that talks about that car, that year, car, and vehicle, right? Um, so I figure if I start putting stuff out there, people that have that vehicle will just find my channel organically if they're looking for things on the same model car, um, that they had, because these cars are starting to come down. What was a $120,000 car, they're coming down. They're down in the 30s now. Mercedes is well known for having horrendous depreciation, right? I would never buy a new Mercedes. Not our first or second year that it comes out, I will never buy a Mercedes in the first or second year that it's out, because your shirt. Maybe if I was a rich person, um, that was looking for that had a business and was looking for business deductions, um, and was looking to take a loss on something, to lower my taxable income, then maybe I would do that, knowing that I was going to lose tens of thousands of dollars when I go to resell that car in 2 to 3 years, because that's just the way it goes. We're talking about over 7 years, this car has lost $90,000 worth of value. You know what I'm saying? Because every year they come out with a brand new model of it, and it's more horsepower and more torque and more, they went from NA to twin turbocharged, all this stuff. So it knocks the value down on the car, on the year before car, and every year that happens. So yeah, I figure I'll shoot a video on that. You can get the even older model ones. You can get the 08s, 09s, that still had the 6.2 liter V8 in it. You can get those things in the teens now. You can get them for 15,000. And if you go for the really old, the E55 AMGs, which were the early 2000 models, I'm seeing those things around like 10 grand, and that's still a V8, 5.5 liter V8 instead of 6.2. But there's so much you can do to those things. It's supercharged though, 5.5 liter supercharged V8. But anyway, we ain't gonna talk about cars over here. That's why I have a dedicated car channel. So, um, are you still working for that government company in Virginia? Yep, yep. That's the still main gig, job number one. I will not be giving that job up anytime soon. Uh, I really like it. They pay me a lot of money. Um, I just interviewed for a job out of Arizona for a consultant consultancy company. It's you know my job number one is a consultancy as well, but they strictly do government. This place is a private consultancy, so they don't do government work per se. Um, but they asked about salary during the second interview, right? I think it's 3 interviews. We did the second with the head of engineering and the head architect, and it went really well. To the very end, they asked about salary, and I said, well, I'm flexible on it. I'll tell you what I'm making at the place that I'm at now. It's 125, and I saw the look on their face like, whoa. And he said, well, that's way above, what we were looking to pay. And the job was advertised as was it senior? Maybe it was advertised as senior or at least mid-level front-end dev with Angular experience, right? And that just goes to show the drastic difference in pay depending on what part of the country you're in, right? So Phoenix market is very similar to Vegas. Remember, I told you in Vegas, when you're making 90, 100,000, you're pretty much capped out. For the average everyday front-end dev job, that's where you're going to cap out. In Vegas, that's where you're going to cap out. In, Phoenix and other places like that. You got to go to California, or you got to go to East Coast places to start making those higher six-figure numbers, right? So DC, which is very expensive, that's why they paid the 125, and I'm cool with that. You can get that in New York, New Jersey, Baltimore, Boston. You can get numbers like that. And then California, you can get numbers like that. But they came back, they wrote me an email. They said, we want to, let me go pull up the email, because I need to reply back to this guy, because he wrote me yesterday. I didn't reply back yesterday, and I didn't. Reply back to him today either. Let me see if I can even find the email. Here we go. So I'll read it to you. It says, hi, Brian. Jess and I enjoyed talking with you the other day. I would like to continue you through the interview process, but we need to clarify something important first. You said that your current salary is $125 a year. First, congrats. And he put a smiley face. That's pretty good. Second, that's quite a bit higher than we have allotted for that position. He says, especially with someone with less than 10 years of professional development experience. Because I'm at 5, 6. This will be year 6, right? So I always find it interesting to see other people's, how other people think. And you got to remember, people are in silos. So if you've been working in Phoenix for your whole career, you're used to Phoenix prices. And maybe you can get to 125 if you're that might be what he's getting paid, as the lead developer, director, right? Director of engineering for the company. He may be getting paid 125 in Phoenix to do, that management level job, right? But I'm getting paid that as a developer, for a place out on the East Coast. So everything's relative. So for him, he would expect you to have more than 10 years experience in Phoenix to be making that kind of money. He said, best I can do is 90 to 95K. If that's too low for you, then cool. I will wish you the best of luck in your search. If some of our other benefits can help fill that gap and you can work with that range, I'd be happy to continue this discussion. Thanks. And then he leaves his name in the company, right? Which is cool. I mean, that's, for me, when it's extra, I ain't tripping. But it's nice to know that like, man, and or if I for some reason uh, left or got fired from job number one, and you had to go and try to replace that income, you know, you have to be strategic about where you look. Like I wouldn't be looking in Phoenix, or I wouldn't be, you know, anywhere, you know. But for me, it's 100% remote. 90 to 95 is a little less than what I was making at the other job, number two. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to a couple $100 a month difference, to be honest, especially at the 95. The old job was at 102. So we're talking $7,000 difference in less than a year. We're talking about what, 600, 500 bucks a month, 605 something a month difference in gross pay. Once you take out taxes, we're probably talking 300 something bucks a month. So that's not a deal breaker for me in my situation because I don't quote unquote need them. But I need to reply back to him um, and let him know that, you know, that we can move forward. I wait a day or two. So he's thinking I'm thinking about it. He's thinking I'm thinking as a big decision, you know. Uh, but to me, it really don't matter. I'll tell him I'm cool with that. We can rock with it. It's not a huge company, but it's not a startup either. Yeah, he is director of software development. It's his proper title, the guy that wrote that. So, and they do stuff, you know, kind of directly with the client. I would be working directly with the client, which gives me a little bit of pause because I don't know what the level of meetings will be. You know, job number one is really good about not having a lot of meetings. I do an 8:45 meeting in the morning to tell them what I did yesterday, what I plan on doing today, and that's usually it. There's within a 2 week sprint, there might be two other meetings in those 2 weeks that are outside of that 8:45, 15-minute meeting, right? So I don't want to fill up my day with a bunch of meetings for this second job. So it might be something where I accept, you know, dip my toe in the water, but maybe still keep looking. And um, in case it ends up being something that has a lot of meeting time, you know, I might just, you know, especially in the first 90 days, it's easier to just say, hey, look, you know, this ain't working for me. I think it's best if we just part ways kind of thing, you know? So I reply back to him and let him know. Because I think there's just one more step in the interview process, which I don't know what that is. But so far, there hasn't been any type of, I haven't had to write no code for them. So I'm thinking that maybe the next part would be code. What I really suck at is live coding on an interview. I had another job for a place, and the interview was going so well until I got to a live coding portion. And I just suck at doing those, man. I'm well aware of my flaws, and live coding on an interview, I blank out sometimes, you know, on the simplest of things at that. So, needless to say, I didn't get that gig. It didn't go well. I didn't get that gig. And I hate it because it was long, they were long interviews, like 2-hour interviews, video interviews. And then to get to the end and not perform well on that part kind of sucked. But anyway, let me see what are people saying. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling back up. I'm looking at the comments on my computer, but I'm using my phone to shoot this. I got a nice little tripod stand that's kind of gorilla grip thing, you know, At the same time, the legs are flexible, but you can stand it up. It's got a little ball joint. I can put my phone in there. So that really motivated me to like shoot more videos. Because before I was like I had this thing right, but it's at a fixed angle. So if that ain't the right angle that I need, I was trying to prop something under it to get it to tilt right or back or up or however. But I ain't got to use this to shoot videos anymore because I can use my handy dandy tripod deal now to get the angle I want because the phone goes in a ball joint thing and I can move it exactly where I need it. Anyway, Kelvin says he had an unpaid internship right now, learning PHP and Laravel. Those are good skills to have, by the way. And when I can contribute, I'll get paid 100 an hour. Laravel is kicking my butt. Man, that is good. That's a good deal. If they're gonna kick you in at $100 an hour, man. That's some good stuff. Because if you wanna you take that amount and double it, and that's kind of what your yearly salary is, right? So if you wanted to make 120,000 a year, you pretty much double, or divide that in half, right? You get 60. So that would make $60 an hour, because the average working hour is about 2,000 hours a year, right? So if you take 100 and double that, that's about 200 grand a year average. Now, if it's independent contract, you might not be getting paid, 2,000 hours in a year. So it'll average out. Maybe it averages out to $60 an hour, which is still really good. I think you're down there in Phoenix, right, Kelvin? So even $60 an hour, which is 120K a year, is still good money down there in Phoenix, as you can see. Even senior level devs, mid to senior level devs are only expected to make 90 grand. So that's good stuff. Ramsey says, hasn't touched Angular yet, but it keeps changing so fast. Should I start today or wait until I get good with JavaScript? About maintenance costs. Oh, you're talking about the maintenance cost question has a deal with the car, right? Well, here's the deal. That car sits out in that driveway 4 to 5 days out of a 7-day week. I don't drive it that much, so I don't think I'm gonna have a whole ton of maintenance costs. Plus, remember, when I bought it, I got a 5-year extended warranty. So, and it's bumper to bumper. I got a 5-year bumper to bumper extended warranty. Deductible is $50, I think, $50. So if anything major breaks on it, $50, and it's covered under warranty for the next 5 years or 50,000 miles or something like that. But I've probably put a couple hundred miles on it since I got it a couple months ago, a month and a half ago. I just don't drive the thing, man. I just enjoy, when I do get in it to run to the corner store, I enjoy it. Anyway, the Angular question, it can be good to start learning it now, Ramsey, because you'll start learning the basic parts of Angular, like how that works, right? Because the core of Angular hasn't really changed too much since it's come out, in how you do things. It's a bunch of ancillary stuff that's changed around the Angular landscape, right? The CLI changes, just a bunch of other stuff. RxJS changes, which then changes the way that you use libraries like NGRX within Angular. But the Angular core stuff, the basics of it don't change a lot. So you can start learning Angular whenever you're ready to learn Angular. Like I said, I started learning Angular before I was good at JavaScript. And that's a double-edged sword, because you don't get good at vanilla JavaScript. And if you are ever challenged or questioned with that on an interview, you can kind of struggle because you don't know the delineation between what is Angular, what is part of the framework, and what is part of just vanilla JavaScript language. It's hard to make that delineation when you learn the framework before you learn the core language. So that can come back to bite you. But I mean, I did it. That was my route. It was a little rough, but I made it through it. I mean, there's still residual things from doing it that way. that I run into even now. But you know, I'm still kicking. He said, Kim says I'm in Phoenix. They want the world for not a lot of money. They cheap. it's just uh, it's just one of those things, man. Where cost of living, cost of living in Vegas isn't ridiculous, so you don't need, you know, 6 figure incomes to be able to live comfortably. You know, um, you can get a regular, 3 bedroom, 2 bath house here. You can rent that for, you can still find those rented for 1,200 a month or something like that. If you're making 60, 70 grand in Vegas, you can swing that easy and have money for car note and groceries and all of that. Especially if you got another person bringing in income in the household. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, like 35 to 55, yeah, I can see that for beginning pay or for a junior level dad. I can see that. Remember here in Vegas, my first gig was 55, and they probably wasn't trying to pay me that until I told them that I made 50 at my old job, right? Working at a hotel, which was a total lie because I only made 35. I got a feeling if I would have told them I made 35, they might have started me at 40 instead of 55, So that's probably parallel to Vegas pay and marketplace. So they pay you in ice cubes and free AC because it's hot as Ramsey, you a fool, man. You a fool. Phoenix company asking for the world. Here we go. This is why I don't have a job yet. Uh, Ramsey said you need to move. My mortgage $600 for a 3,000 square foot home. Man, that's crazy. You know what? My buddy's mortgage is the same. He bought at the right time here in Vegas when after the '08 crash, he bought like at the bottom of that, and he got a house. It's not quite 3,000 square feet. I think it's more like 2,300, 23, 24, 25, somewhere in there. 3 bedroom. Is it three two? It's at least a 3-2, maybe a 4-2, but I think it's a 3-2, right? 3 bedroom, 2 bath house here in Vegas, and his mortgage is literally $610 a month. I was like, man, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Let me put it like this: he worked for an airline, and he was making 13 bucks an hour, 13 something an hour, for a family of 5. He got 3 kids and a wife, and she didn't work, and they were able to swing it in Vegas off of $13 an hour. Now he worked a bunch of overtime at the same time, you know what I'm saying? But 13 bucks an hour plus, X amount of hours of overtime on every check, and he was able to support his family of 5. Now were things tight a lot? Yeah, but he recently went to flight attendant school and graduated from that, and that almost doubled his pay. He went from $13 an hour up to $24 an hour for being a flight attendant. So now, once he just did it, so he's playing catch up now, of course. But you can imagine when you almost double your income, you feel like you living high on the hog, you know. What did I say? Way more than I do in the jobs I applied for in New York for a junior dad were no lower than 50.
I don't know that.
I ain't talking to you, Siri. Alexa. Alexa, stop. There. And that was the man. Yeah, it's all cost of living stuff, man. Cost of living. Ramsey. What kind of questions did they ask? I'm wondering if it's easier to find a job once you are in, I guess. I need that remote. You know what I should have did? I should have recorded the interview. I should have did that. I should have recorded the interview. Because he was asking me, like, a good question. I enjoyed the conversation. He didn't ask me anything that I didn't have an answer for or no, I need that remote. I know what you mean. My first and only junior dev interview I ever got a few months ago was a disaster. They all of a sudden wanted me to code on the whiteboard. I blanked out. That's me right there. I don't care if I think I don't care if I've been in the game 20 years. If you put me in front of a whiteboard, I might as well just hand them the marker and turn around and shake hands and say, it's been a pleasure meeting with y'all. Y'all have a very good day. Uh, I've had 2 hacker rank challenges and take home tests. I bombed all 3. Don't feel bad. Oh man, that's funny. My internship is only because I'm former military. They asked if I knew PHP level. Told them no. Wanted to move to a technical interview. Like, whether do you know how to code? No. Okay, thanks. Let's go ahead and move forward with the technical interview where you have to code. Wait, wait, man. Didn't I just tell you I don't know how to code? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You ain't got to worry about it. Just come on, come on. You know, come do this coding interview. It's all right. I'm telling you, you run across some crazy, crazy opportunities, man. My internship is with a development company. It's remote. I'm not getting paid. Oh, that's cool. That's cool, Kevin. Some good news. Received a web dev test due on the 16th. I haven't opened it yet. Go ahead. Go ahead and crack it open, Ramsey. Get to work. What's today? The 13th? So you got 3 days to get it done? You're going to knock it out over the weekend, I'm hoping. So that's good, though. As long as you're learning, you can be added to the resume. Yep, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, man. So that's been what's up and what's going on with me, with the gang. You see I'm all rough, man. I ain't shaved or nothing in a minute. I think I'm gonna jump off and go do all of that stuff. Shave, shower, probably go get my car washed because it's sitting out there all dusty and dirty. How good was your JavaScript when you got your first job? It was almost non-existent, Vince. It was horrible. Terrible. Terrible. Yeah, I shouldn't have got that first job, let's just say. That much, right? Which is why I know that even if you feel like you don't know nothing, there's still hope. There's still hope, my friend. And I know other devs that didn't know a time got hired either. But I would definitely say the devs I know that did know quite a bit when they first started, you know, they've done very well for themselves. So I can say you know, it behooves you to not slack on your knowledge and your practical knowledge at that, hands-on code. Gerardo, welcome to the stream. I don't think I've seen your name before. Mr. Butler, it's 39. You're about the same age as me, my friend. Working personnel administrator. 20 years in the military. You was personnel. I want to change careers to web dev. Should I still go for a junior position? Well, you are in a very unique situation, Mr. Gerardo. Because you are 20 years into a career, making more money probably than you will make in a junior dev position, right? So you've got some decisions to make. If you watch my older videos, you'll know that development is a career in which you can, over a short amount of time, years, increase your earning potential rather drastically, right? Especially if you're strategic about how you do it. You know, you're strategic about learning about what markets pay the most. Well, depending on what your goal is. If your goal is to maximize the amount of money you can make, learn what markets pay the most amount of money, and look for jobs in those markets. If you don't want to move, then you look specifically for remote jobs, right? And you have to constantly be on it because remote jobs are few and far between. There's a lot of competition for them because every dev, well, 80% of devs want a remote opportunity. So they usually don't even hit recruiters, right? I've got recruiters hitting me up now, and I keep kind of have the standard reply like, thanks but no thanks. You know, I'm currently only entertaining fully remote opportunities at this time. If you happen to have anything remote come across your desk, uh, please think of me and reach out. And they usually reply and say, you know, I appreciate the response, but you know, I have never gotten any remote positions come across my desk. And I was going back and forth with the recruiter on LinkedIn just yesterday, I think, and she responded with that, and I said, yeah, I know. Out of I've learned from being remote that I have to go and find those remote jobs myself. They usually don't come to me via a recruiter. Now I'm kind of unique in that the job I got out of Denver, which was supposed to be fully remote, but didn't turn out to be fully remote, was brought to me by a recruiter. Actually, my very first job that I got that I was not really qualified for and didn't have strong JavaScript, period, was brought to me by a recruiter, but that was on site. um, and I told her, I said, I think all a company has to do is advertise a job as remote and put it out there, and it pretty much sells itself because every developer wants a remote position. And she replied back, LOL, I think you're absolutely right. So they don't go through recruiters for remote positions. You have to go and seek those out yourself. Um, this position out of Phoenix that I got offered, I found on Stack Overflow. I've shown you guys me looking through Stack Overflow jobs, and they have really expanded their remote jobs, you know, that are listed on Stack Overflow. They used to have a few. I remember when they didn't have hardly any. And then they started sprinkling in, and you find 10 or 20 or 30. And now it seems like the floodgates are open, and there's like hundreds of remote opportunities. Well, not hundreds, but there are a ton. I dare I say at least 100 remote opportunities across the country. Now, all types of different development. You know, some of them want Java and C Sharp and you know all kinds of stuff. But there's a lot of remote opportunities on Stack Overflow. So, but anyway, let me get back to Mr. Gerardo. So you're gonna have some decisions to make. My nose always acts up when I get on live. I don't know why. I think because I'm talking, I don't talk this much normally. Um, you're gonna have some decisions to make as far as pay. I don't know what your situation is, what your financial situation is, or family situation is. Um, if you're able to take a pay cut in order to pursue um, development or web development to be particular. Um, I am not an audio recording engineer today simply because I could not afford to take a pay cut in order to use my degree. So those things do come into play because I had a family and I wasn't going to take a pay cut to use my degree. So you got to make those decisions. See in your local area what junior developer jobs are paying, Mr. Gerardo, and see if see how that ranks with what you're making now. I don't know what average pay is for personnel administration. Maybe it's not as big of a gap as you would think. If you're in a place that pays, I don't know what you're making now, but if you're in a place that starts junior devs off at a minimum of 50,000 a year, like who was that? Somebody was saying Ramsey or somebody was saying at least 50,000 they were offering junior devs where he's at in North Carolina. And if you're making 60,000, I mean that's not a super huge drop in order to change careers. But if you're living, if you've got that 60 grand maxed out, then maybe you can't, you know, take a deal. I make about 29 an hour. Would go down to 25 if I could get in. Oh, you're in San Diego. Okay, well, California definitely pays more than the average. And I would dare to say that you will be able to make you'll probably be able to make what you're making now in a junior dev position there in San Diego. Because if you're talking 29 an hour, you're right about 60 grand a year, right? If you double that, if you double 30, you're at 60 for 2,000 hours worked. Um, and I would dare say in San Diego, you'll be able to find something that can start you off at 60 grand or more, you know? So I think your child support is a fee. Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know, man. I had to work with my old lady that had me on it, my ex-wife. Uh, and being really nice, she took me off of it. And we just worked something out between the two of us so that I don't have that dog on my back anymore. But but I realize everybody's situation isn't like that. I tell you what, it works out really good. And we did not have a nice divorce. We did not like each other at all, but we were able to, especially down years down the road, she had she had moved on, got married, had a kid, and I had moved on. My old lady had kids, so neither one of us had any type of emotional investment in each other anymore. So it was very easy to come to the table and have an adult conversation at that point. Um, and then I was able to approach the situation, grown and without any animosity because she had all the power in that situation, right? Which is the way it's set up in the American court system. The woman usually has all the power in a child support situation. You know, 85% of the cases out there, dare I say, because I do know dads that have the mother on child support and that whole situation flip flop. But 90% of the time, it's the woman that you know, has the man by the cojones. So she didn't have to do anything. But, I hope the way I approached the situation and we had a good conversation. And she signed the papers to cancel it, to take me off of it. It was with the stipulations that, like, yo, if if I don't keep my end of this bargain that I'm coming to you with, all you gotta do is file the papers back. You can put me right back on it. So, and so I just keep up with my end of the bargain, and we've been easy greasy for years and years. So, cheaper to keep her. Amen to that. Well, it's cheaper to not having kids. That's the key. Don't be popping out them babies, and you'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? So, I think Christian said he made 25 an hour his first job in Orange County. Yep, Vince, I say that, and remember Christian too admitted that his JavaScript was not strong in his first job, and he knew no frameworks, right? He didn't know Angular or React, Ember, Vue. He didn't know none of that stuff, and his JavaScript was very weak and lacking. So he was really an HTML, CSS guy, and he was making 25 bucks an hour off of just HTML and CSS. So, if that gives you any hope, Mr. Gerardo, that there's a dev in Orange County, a prominent YouTuber developer that vlogs every day or vlogs at least weekly, I think. And he got a job at 25 an hour just knowing HTML and CSS. That should give you some hope that even without strong JavaScript, there's a possibility. Those jobs are out there, like I told you. There's not a ton of developers that's going to be beating down the door to try to go get that $25 an hour job. If they're more experienced, you'll only really be going up against newer developers, like somebody like Christian that only knew HTML, no JavaScript. So if you are competing for that same job and you know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you would have got that job over here. So like I said, it's very doable, very doable. When you say minimum experience, that's basically like HTML, CSS, and a little JavaScript. Yes. to get your foot in the door, that's what I recommend, Vince. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. A little JavaScript at the minimum. If you know a lot of JavaScript, the more you know, the more secure you can be in securing a job, right? So you got to know HTML and CSS. Like, that's a given. Like, you cannot, that's the core of the job. Like, you got to know HTML and CSS. And now JavaScript is considered the core of the job as well, right? Because everything now is JavaScript based. Didn't used to be the case back in the day, but now you got to know JavaScript to call yourself a front-end developer, right? At bare minimum, a little. You'll be more secure. You know a lot of JavaScript and no framework. Right? That's all you need. If you throw in one framework, then you highly increase your chances of getting hired, and you can drastically increase your salary as well. So that's it. But to get your foot jammed in that door, to begin with, you got to have HTML, CSS, and a little JavaScript. If I would have kept her, I would have been in the hospital or jail. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Me and my old lady was like that at the beginning. You know, at the beginning of the divorce thing, you know, we were not fans of each other. So I get it. Like I said, it ain't necessarily easier to keep her. It's easier to not have kids. So, yeah, with no framework or no actual industry experience. Yeah, he did say that. Yep. Talking about Krishan there. Yep. If I give you a static, can you build at 90%? Saying or more, you can get a job. Yeah, so there are places out there that would hire you with that. If you can remake a PDF, that you can get a gig. You know, they have to be looking for that skill, you know, just to remake a PDF type deal for a client. But somebody's going to have to wire that thing up, right? So either you're going to have some more senior devs that can come behind you after you've set it up, the HTML and CSS, and actually wire up the JavaScript portion of it to make it interactive. Or you will need to know a minimal amount of JavaScript to be able to wire it up to make it interactive, you know, at that point. Some JavaScript, jQuery type things to do some basic DOM manipulation type stuff, you know. I think that's going to do it for the day, ladies and gents. And, oh yeah, that says an hour, so I think I'm going to kill it for today. Maybe shoot a little video tomorrow and for the vehicle channel, and then I'll go over financial stuff because that's been fun. But I'm gonna keep that stuff on the financial channel. So I will probably shoot 2 videos that are not for this channel. They'll be on my other 2 channels this weekend. Do some burnouts. I know. I think I'm gonna go out and play with the launch control on it. We'll see. Have a good weekend. As Vince says, learn the financial stuff. I got you, man. Make sure you're subscribed to the financial channel, you know, and you'll be good to go. If you just Google Black Knight Financial, it should come up. There's no videos on there now, but the first video will be coming this weekend, most likely, Mr. Kelvin. So we did some good stuff. We did some good stuff financially, you know. We went up to, I think we're up to like 50,000, right? 50,000 in available credit. So we sitting good. we sitting real good. And I'm using that right now, parlaying that, buying inventory for the Amazon stuff. So we're actively playing the plan to build the side business using, you know, other people's money type thing. So anyway, we'll get on to that. I'm glad you're looking forward to it, Kelvin. I'll make sure that motivates me to get the video shot this weekend. Um, Peace.